Hello, I'm Raquel and welcome to my channel where I talk to you about different ways that you can use homeopathy in your everyday life. If you're a parent, you've probably had to deal with some grumping and whining and maybe more than a few sleepless nights because of teething. Well, fear not, tired parents. I am here to give you some good news. There is homeopathy for that. In fact, these remedies will work for kiddos, but they'll also work for adults if you happen to have some wisdom teeth coming through. Let me tell you, when mine came through, it gave me a good appreciation for the suffering those poor little kiddos have to go through. And I really wish I had homeopathy in my toolkit back then. If you're new to this channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button followed by the alert button so that you get notifications every time I post. Now, this is homeopathy we're talking about. There are more than 10 remedies for teething. So if one of these doesn't work for your little one, don't lose hope. You just need to do a little bit more digging to find the right match. All right, let's get started. Remedy number 1, chamomilla. The keynote of chamomilla is unbearable pain, and babies who need chamomilla are angry. They are in so much pain that nothing is soothing them. They want to be held, but they are not satisfied with that. They might be fighting you or rolling around. They are just not happy even when you hold them. If they are asking for something, you might try to give it to them, and they'll probably throw it in your face with a huge no scream that we all know so well. They tend to be hot, sweaty, clammy. They might throw off their covers at night. They don't want to be covered up. They might cry out in their sleep while they're still sleeping. They'll be crying at you. They are usually worse for heat, hence the not wanting to be covered, and they're worse for pressure. Most of the time. Sometimes they can prefer really hard pressure, so they might like a cold teether that they can really gnaw on hard, but most of the time with chamomilla they don't want pressure on their gums. So if you give them a teether, they might just throw it back in your face with a no, screamed loudly. They're usually worse in the evening and before midnight. And if chamomilla seems to fit your little, but it's not working, a good remedy to look at next is creosotum. It has a lot of similar key marks of severe unrelenting pain, anger, and capriciousness, and it often works where chamomilla doesn't. Another thing to look for with creosotum is the teeth may tend to decay as quickly as they pop through the gums. So this is really good for children whose teeth just seem to come through almost decayed. The next remedy is pulsatilla, and it is a stark contrast to chamomilla and creosotum. Instead of being angry, these children are whiny and sad, and they're really pitiful, and they want to be held and snuggled, and they really just pull at your heartstrings. They are worse for warmth and better for cold drinks or a cold teether, and they prefer to be out and about in the fresh air. And they might have green and yellow snot or green and yellow poo or diarrhea that accompanies their teething symptoms. And next up we have belladonna. The keynotes for belladonna are red, hot, swollen, and throbbing. So if you look in their gums, they might look swollen, they might look red, or maybe even a little purpley. They could have a fever with red cheeks. They might seem, their eyes. Their eyes might seem a little shiny or glassy or dilated. They might be angry or throw tantrums or try to hit you or bite you or scream at you. Not pleasant, these children. And they might be restless or seem agitated. The symptoms might stop and start suddenly throughout the day. You might notice a pattern of them being worse around 3 p.m. or 3 a.m. They're worse for jarring movements. They would like to be held still. And they're worse for cold, which in contrast to chamomilla was better for cold, worse for heat. Belladonna is worse for cold. Remedy number 5 is aconite, and this one is for symptoms that come on suddenly, often in the middle of the night, and the children will often seem very distressed or anxious, and even afraid of the pain. They might wake up screaming. They usually have a fever. They might have some red cheeks, or red cheeks that go to pale cheeks that go back to red, or one red and one pale cheek. They are usually sweaty under their covers and will tend to kick those off. But the biggest indicator for aconite is that distress and fear of the symptoms that they are having. Next up is phytolacca, and kids who need this remedy are biting on anything and anybody they can. And if they can't get a hold of somebody to bite on, they are going to be gnawing their gums together, biting them and rubbing them together. Their symptoms may come on suddenly, and they might seem tired or worn out by this whole teething thing. Next, we have calc carb. Now, calc carb babies have a particular look to them. They are usually round babies with round heads that are usually sweaty when they wake up from a nap, and they tend to be kind of that cherub baby. You know what I'm talking about, those sweet little round ones that they have all the chunk and you just want to squeeze them. And they are just so sweet. They might have little rosy cheeks. But a key with them is things happen slowly. They might be slow to meet their milestones. Their fontanelles, the soft spot on top of their head, might be slow to close. And the teeth come in slowly. And the process just seems to drag on. And these children, who generally would be pretty mild-mannered and happy little cherub babies, can become pretty stubborn while they're teething in this process. They might have diarrhea while teething, and they might grind their gums together in their sleep. Next is calc phos, and calc phos is similar to calc carb in that the babies are also slow. They're slow to teeth, their fontanelles may be slow to close, and they may be slow to reach their milestones. But it's different in that these babies are skinny. They're on the lean side, smaller babies compared to the large, chunky calc phos babies. They also might be a little anxious or discontent or capricious, similar to Camomilla, where they ask for things and then throw them back at you. It's just not quite as intense as the Camomilla. They might have some green poo or diarrhea, and they might get some other cough, cold symptoms while they're teething. And their teeth may decay quickly when they're coming in. So you might notice that they tend to chip or decay easily. This remedy is often very helpful for first teeth that are slow to come in, but actually this was the remedy that my daughter needed when her 2-year molars were coming in. And this was my aha remedy, because it was the first time I had seen homeopathy work like that. I had this angry, fussy child, and I had tried Camomilla and it didn't work, and by an accident I had this remedy that said teething on it. I said, fine, I'm going to try it. It says teething, here you go. And I gave it to her, and 5 minutes later I had a different child. She was happy and playing and no longer requiring my attention or shouting at me, which was brilliant. And then when those symptoms started to return, I gave her some more. And again, it was almost an instantaneous turnaround in her attitude. It was just amazing. And so that is the remedy that I was like, oh, I need to look into this homeopathy thing. On a note, she was not slow to meet her milestones. She met all of her milestones on time or ahead, but her fontanelles were slow to close. They were larger than other babies her age, and her teeth were kind of slow to come in. At least these back molars seemed to be taking a while. So it was really, really great for her. Number 9 is silica, another slow remedy. These kids grow slowly, their fontanelles close slowly, and their teeth come in slowly. In fact, these teeth might come up and you can almost see that little tooth and then it disappears. Where did it go? That is a good note for silica. Shy teeth that come up and then go back down. These kids are worse for cold. They might be worse in the winter, and they often will have cough and cold symptoms that come along with their teething, and maybe some diarrhea or some really smelly gas. And they might be anxious or shy. They might startle easily at loud noises, and they might seem like they get tired easy. They're just kind of they need a little boost. And finally, we have MacPhos, which is helpful for painful teething that is better for external heat and pressure. So these kids will probably like a nice warm rice sock on their cheek or to chew on a warm washcloth. And they're worse for cold in any form, whether that's cold air or cold food or drink or cold teethers. Well, there you have it, 10 remedies for teething kiddos. If you need information on how to give your chosen remedy to your kiddo, be sure to check out my video on dosing. I'll link it below. If you liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up below. And if you're new to my channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button so you can get more videos like this in the future. And if you have used homeopathic remedies for your teething kiddo with success or not, let me know in the comments. I want to hear about your experiences too. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you again soon.